Hey, 42 here. Politics is a strange thing. It can switch in an instant from dullness to disaster, from inspiring to insanity, and from dinner table chat to fighting in the street. And much of the problems with it is that when you align yourself with one particular group, you feel obliged to stick up for them for better or for worse, leading to arguments. So what about the few politicians that we can actually agree on? Seems like an impossible task, doesn't it? Surely such a rare creature doesn't even exist in the wild. Well, you're in for a big surprise, because here are 5 politicians that everyone will love. First we head to Canada, but not for the lustrous hair of Justin Trudeau. The Rhinoceros Party was set up in 1963 by Jacques Ferron, a physician and author. It was intended as political satire, and it kept going for 30 years. In a refreshing display of honesty, their creed was a promise to keep none of their promises. They listed their leader as an actual rhinoceros from a Montreal zoo called Cornelius I. Since you need a thick skin to be a leader. Leaders also claimed to be Marxist-Leninists, but rather than having any communist ideals, it was just because they were fans of Groucho Marx and John Lennon. Over the years, some of their brilliant party policies have included changing Canada's currency to bubblegum so it can be inflated or deflated at will, repealing the law of gravity, and providing higher education by building taller schools. Although they never won a single seat, they did occasionally embarrass authentic political parties, such as when Sonia, a professional clown, came in second for one of the seats in 1980. The party was forced to disband in 1993 due to a change in the law that would force them to run for at least 50 seats at a cost of $1,000 a seat. That's far too pricey for a good old political jest. In the same year that the Rhinoceros Party was founded, a similarly satirical approach was being adopted in the UK by rock singer David Such. In 1963, he represented a range of different made-up parties in the parliamentary elections. Most notably the National Teenage Party, since at that time the voting age was 21, which Such disagreed with. His band Screaming Lord Such and the Savages were not especially successful, but their lineup was constantly changing, and they had many of rock's superstars before they became famous, including Jimmy Page of Led Zeppelin, Ritchie Blackmore of Deep Purple, and Noel Redding, which was Jimi Hendrix's bass player. Such returned to politics in the 80s after leaving America when he was shot during a mugging, a fairly solid sign that you don't belong somewhere. He set up the now infamous monster raving loony party, and was joined by others including a retired World War II hero named Bill Boakes, who had been part of the sinking of the Bismarck. Although they never won any seats in Parliament, they did take a number of council spots in Devon, where they spent a lot of time trying to annoy the Conservatives, with one loony party councillor attempting to pay some taxes with a pile of metal. But across the country they established themselves as one of the leading protest vote groups for many years. Such, sadly, committed suicide in 1999. But as was fitting for his party, they elected Alan Howling Lord Hope and his cat, Catmando, to take over the leadership. Their party policies include putting a massive mirror into the sky to reflect the sunlight during the nighttime so that solar panels still work, introducing a 99p coin to make it easier to buy ice cream, and bungee cords shall be attached to the rear of all cars so that no fuel is used on the return journey. When Donald Trump announced that Linda McMahon, the co-founder of wrestling franchise WWE, would be a part of his new government, a group of Mexicans actually deserve the credit for their groundbreaking work 20 years earlier. In 1996, a wrestler named Super Barrio ran for president of the United States and arranged rallies on both sides of the Mexican border, promising to do away with border patrols and the Drug Enforcement Agency. Although he dressed in a red and yellow lucha wrestling outfit, Super Barrio was a true political activist rather than just a comedy figure. Unfortunately, his attempts to wrestle his way into the political ranks were unsuccessful. Dick Augustin is a Swedish IT entrepreneur who, when grew tired of endless jokes about his first name, decided to change the whole thing and become Rick Falkvange, or Falconwing as it's translated. Through his love of technology, he was part of the early file sharing communities. So when the internet copyright debate began to pick up internationally in 2005, he decided to get involved by setting up the Pirate Party. His domain got 3 million hits in the first 2 days. But he wasn't just casually dipping a toe into politics, he quit his job, took out a large bank loan, and really put his heart and soul into the party. Within a year, he made the international news as a voice criticising the raid on the Pirate Bay, a famous file sharing site based in Sweden. Don't know why I'm telling you that, you know what the Pirate Bay is. He only managed 0.63% of the vote in 2006, but by the time the European elections came around in 2009, he won the massive majority of the youth vote, taking 25% of those under 30 and over 7% overall. He's been recognised around the world as a key figure in bringing the internet into politics, well before we started electing people on the basis of their emails and Twitter. Ah, the good old days. Now, if you're going to elect a bad-tempered ape with no idea what it's doing, Brazil at least decided to go for an actual chimpanzee. Tiao the chimp was estimated to have received a massive 400,000 votes in the 1988 election for mayor of Rio de Janeiro. He came third out of 12 candidates, or to put it another way, 9 actual human politicians were beaten by a monkey. The chimp eventually died of diabetes, because as the saying goes in Brazil, with great power comes a great amount of churros. Thanks for watching. If we go back to the Middle Ages or even all the way back to the Roman Empire, was life ever any better than you could be an extraordinarily intelligent person, possibly even genius level?